Sending my copy and pasting it, but it doesn't show.
Yeah. I have 6, so.
No, they-
All right, good evening, everyone, for coming to our November board meeting. Good to see everybody. Trying to stay warm. I don't know if you're like me, but I absolutely hate winter, so not enjoying this weather at all. So at this time, we'll stand for a flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tammy, could you do a roll call, please?
Carrie Armagos. Here. Megan Dreher. Here. Brady Fife.
Here.
Diane Page. Here. Jeff Powell.
Here.
Janine Stump. Here. Eric Sunday.
Here.
Kelly Flanagan.
Here. Thank you. Okay, could I have a motion to waive the reading of the official minutes from the October 10th workshop and the October 7th voting meeting as attached, unless somebody has some suggestions for changes?
I move we accept them.
Okay, Diane seconded, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, so we're going to move into public participation this evening. We have Jessica Verostek here to speak to us about some of the athletic programs. Jessica? Jessica, we usually have a 5-minute time limit.
Okay. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for letting me come here tonight and speak. Secondly, as a group, I just want to state that we are in no way against co-oping with Union. I had a child who actually benefited from the co-op, both in track and football, so I do support it. But with that being said, we support it when the numbers call for it. As far, sorry, I lost my. Okay, with that being said, as parents of athletes and taxpayers of this district, we're asking you to be more open when it comes to combining school sports. If the numbers don't call for the co-op, why are we moving forward with these co-ops? Why are the parents and the student athletes who participate in these sports not being asked for their opinion? Why does it seem so rushed and hushed? As a parent of softball, I didn't even know that softball co-op was on the table until it was already a done deal. Same with basketball. The first I heard of the co-oping was when I read it in the paper that the union did not pass the co-op of basketball. I feel as though the entire goal was to merge every sport regardless of the numbers. I know several girls who did not even bother signing up for softball, not because they did not want to play softball, because they said, quote unquote, what's the use now that we're joined with union? Half of us will not even see the field. What a sad day it is for those athletes to give up a sport, not because they didn't want to play, because they feared the chance of never being able to play, because those numbers are so high now. This is high school sports, where kids should feel like what they give to a team matters. This is not college nor professional sports. It's high school, where kids are to make memories with friends on the court, on the field, or wherever the sport leads them. They should not have to fight for a spot. Yes, competition is good for them, but why make it near impossible to get playing time with 40 girls on a softball team and 42 girls on a volleyball team? Could we stack a team and bring home wins and championship titles to the district? Sure, we might be able to, but just because we could do something doesn't mean we should do it. We want the school board to think of our children here in this district. What will our kids gain from these co-ops? What will it cost some of these athletes who need the sports more than the sports needs them? What impact would it have on the parents and the students? If we combine every sport, regardless of the numbers, we are taking opportunities away from kids in this district. Not all kids are born star athletes, and they need practice to get better and develop their skills to become a star athlete. Some kids need extra attention to become great, and with such high numbers in some of these sports, coaches cannot give each athlete the same amount of time to develop their skill set. We as a school only start sports in high school. Some of these kids are coming in with less than basic knowledge, and and we are expecting miracles out of them. We want to go and we want to support our kids in sports that they love. We as a group fear that kids will stop joining sports because of the fear of not getting to play, and then neither school will have a team because we will be more worried about that win. I wanted my daughter to come here and speak tonight, but she's on her way to Union to get started and ready for the softball season. She will be gone this evening from 6 to 8:30 p.m. for all four sports that could house their own team. And again, I want to thank you for your consideration in this matter.
Thank you, Jessica. You gave us some very valid points to think about. Thanks. Does anybody have any questions for her?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Anybody have any questions for Jessica? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time to come.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other public participation this evening?
I'd like to go ahead. I'm Chris McGanny. I am a coach here at the school. Been a coach here since varsity level since 2009. For those that don't know me, I think I know everybody here. Jessica brought up a lot of good points, and I'm not here to bash anything or anybody. Player development, if you would combine these schools and what we have done with the programs that have combined already, there is nothing but success there. Player development right now, I believe there are players not getting developed, and I believe that she is correct, and there's students that are getting left behind, and I believe that happens now. If we combine with Union, we bring other coaches into the mix. You'd be able to run full JV schedules. You might be able to run full 9th grade schedules if the numbers allow it. The junior high programs that I've been hearing talks about, I believe would be wonderful things between all of them. So just having 40 girls on your varsity softball team or 25 girls on your varsity softball team does not necessarily mean that you're just going to wipe out everybody. Now you have twice the coaches. You can have twice the games. The softball team last year went 4-11 and didn't play hardly any JV innings or play any JV tournaments last year. So how is a girl number 15 getting developed as much as a girl number 1, 2, or 3 on that team? It doesn't mean that we have to leave people behind. There is much more opportunity here to develop kids, to make them better people, to make them better athletes, and to make them work harder as they come up through the program. If we have a full program behind these kids to be able to do it. AC Valley's never been able to have softball open gyms in the winter. I was a softball coach here also for 4 years. Never able to have open gyms in the wintertime because we couldn't get a gym. As a basketball, volleyball, competitive cheer. If they're having an open gym tonight, I just let them get on the van. If they're having an open gym tonight at Union, that benefits us and that benefits our girls. Because now they're in the gym together months earlier than they would have. You know, my last daughter graduated at 19. We never had open gyms in the wintertime. So this is a marriage that is built to last, and it should be strengthened, and we should continue to do it even with extracurricular activities, band, cheerleading. It grows, and the benefits, the coaches that are involved in this, the guys that ride the bus over there every night, the guys that come home late every night, we're all for it, and we want to continue to keep getting it better because we see. No 30-game losing streaks here anymore. That's not what it's all about, but it's player development as 9th graders. Our 9th graders saw more football action this year. We played 17 football games this year, including junior varsity. We've never been able to play 6 junior varsity games. So that player development and what happens with those students, that's what you see, and that's the benefit. That's where it can really start building in the next 4, 5, 6 years. As that kids that might get left behind in these programs when you only have 15 and you're running a practice and you're only worried about your varsity team. And the JV guys get left behind. Now you're going to have coaches to be able to take them and go work with them, separately. So, and it's not only about helping us. Union helped us when we needed them. Without Union, I don't know where some of our programs would be. And we need to take in their numbers into consideration when we look at co-ops. All sports is what we're for, but we need to look at their numbers too and see where we can help them out. Because they're struggling with some numbers right now, and we certainly don't want to leave them out in the dark. So And, like I said, we're on the same page. We want what's best for the kids, believe me. That's what we want. And we want player development. We want our kids, when they graduate here, to have the best opportunity to be the best that they can be. Not only on the field, but in the classroom and as people. That's what we want. It's not about hanging banners. But it's also real nice to be able to know that you're not going to lose 44 football games in a row like I was a part of, or 30 football games in a row after that. You're able to play. We had forfeit games here before it was junior. We don't ever have to worry about that now. We had 40 kids on our football team this year, 16 defensive backs. So to do that, and for me to run a practice, yeah, I had to adapt. I had to learn how to do that. And it takes work. It takes a lot of work for the coaching staff. But I think we're able to develop those kids the whole way through much better than what we were in the past. So, does anybody have any questions for me?
So what's stopping now? Like, if we have the numbers for an individual team, what's stopping that player development now? As opposed to like joining up? Is it like
Coaches?
Is it coaches?
Well, I mean, I'm not necessarily saying it stops it, but what happens with, right now, if you have 15 or 16 girls on a softball team, you end up, if you have 2 coaches and a volunteer or whatever, you end up working with your varsity team more so than you do your junior varsity. This year in football, we didn't really have a junior varsity coaching staff. So our varsity team, the varsity coaches went on Mondays to coach the JV. That's something we've got to develop. This is our first year through that 40. So you do have to work through that. But to be able to separate basketball, for example, to be able to separate your JVs down to one end of the gym and your varsities up to the other end, and being able to get reps with all of them as you work on your half-court offense, your half-court defense, or whatever the case may be. Now you have 2 coaches or 3 coaches or however many volunteers they allow at Union. Now you have twice as much staff there to be able to work with this kid. And to be able to get on the same, twice as many ideas figured out. Maybe I miss it. Maybe I don't see a kid in the drill. Maybe that somebody says, hey, we need to probably look at this kid someplace. And all that stuff is beneficial. It's tough to run a practice because you can't even live scrimmage in softball at 15. It takes 9 on each side to live scrimmage. So you got to go 4, 4, 4, or figure out creative ways to do that. And if you look at stats and you look down through, I can promise you, if you run this segment for 4 years and you look at overall at-bats, junior varsity and varsity through a softball program, if you have more girls than able to run varsity tournaments, varsity innings, schedule different varsity games, wherever the case may be, you're going to get more at-bats for that player. You're going to get more minutes on a basketball court, on a volleyball court. You're going to have more minutes for that kid from the time they're in 7th grade to the time they graduate. And it's just how it's going to work. The one that should be complaining, the guys that should be complaining about it are us. We got to work harder. As a coach, it takes a lot more to go to Union, to split time at Union, to split time at AC, to arrange all that. So, but that's one of the struggles with it right now. Is everybody varsity kind of takes that precedent. Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public participation? Okay. Thank you for your input. Not seeing anyone, we're going to move on to presentations, and we have Mrs. Megan Bashline here to talk to us a little bit about what's going on with her high school life skills autism program, and that's the class that we added this year. You know what? I'm going to move if you're okay.
Yep, that's fine.
So I can see better.
No, I'm gonna try to stay on the side because I need to. And like Kelly said, this is a brand new program that you approved to bring to the district, the Life Skills Autism Classroom. It's a program we've never had at the high school level, and so I asked David, I said, can I come present to the board and show them what I do? Because it's nothing we've ever had here. And so I want to start off with thanking you for approving the program. Thank you for approving me to run this program. I have a little too much fun with it, and so I want to share with you a little bit that we do, and I think you'll see why. I just started off with, these are just a few of the skills we work on every single day. And I don't go into a lesson saying, okay guys, we're gonna work on coping skills today. Doesn't that sound like fun? No, that's not how it goes. All of these skills are embedded within what we do. And I'm gonna show you what we do, because I think it's the best way for everyone to kind of get an idea of the program. So every morning we start with I have all the kids' faces hidden for confidentiality purposes. Every day we start with a student-led warm-up. They meet us in our lunch menu, the date, the weather, the pledge to the flag, anything else that needs taken care of. I give them that responsibility so that they feel a little bit of that leadership role, independency. This boy really likes doing it. I knew going in I needed to do cooking. Everyone needs to be able to cook in their life. So let me back up with that. My goal is to help these kids be able to learn skills so that if they ever want to live independently, function, live on their own, get a job, I'm going to give them hopefully a few skills that they can do with them. So cooking is one of those. And so I developed What's to Eat Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, I surprise them with a recipe that they read, and we plan, and they prepare, and we eat. It's nothing fascinating. It's something very easy that they can do independently if they were to live alone. Grilled cheese, hot dogs, soup, fruit salad. This day we were making English muffin pizzas. We also have a few students who have a very plain palate, pizza only, and so we still haven't got some of them to try fruit, but we're getting there, just to expand that palate a little bit. And they love this What's to Eat Wednesdays. And they're kind of bummed this Wednesday we won't get to do it because of turkey bowl. All right, this is a student making cookies, but due to allergies and dietary restrictions within the class, it's actually been quite a learning experience for me and the kids. We always have to have an alternate recipe for the student with the allergy and dietary restrictions. So that's been a learning, lots of learning there, and talking about what substitutions can be used. We had a special visitor come in for the student who got a fresh haircut for the homecoming dance, and she walked us through how to make an appointment for a haircut, where you can go to get a haircut, how she does hair, and also where she got her degree and her experience in the Clarion County Career Center. And yes, I did get parent permission to get the haircut. This boy is my Mr. Fix-It. We got a brand new popcorn machine for basketball boosters donated from the grill, and it had a little technical issue, and I put every kid on the job to figure out how to fix it. This guy did it. Of course, I knew how to fix it, so I knew ahead of time if he was doing it right. But he did it, he fixed it, and he also was finishing up a DIY futon bench that I had made, and I let him finish it up for me. So again, a lot of hands-on skills here. I have two students who practice their job skills at the Foxford Pizza Shop. They go every Tuesday and Thursday to learn basic cleaning and box folding, filling up different materials there. And the owners of the pizza shop have been great to work with. To say we do loads of laundry is an understatement. Everyone in the school, if there's laundry, they save it for us, whether that's in the kitchen, the gym classes, or Mrs. McKinley's cooking culinary classes. We do loads and loads. In fact, there's 2 loads up there waiting for me tomorrow. So the students learn to run the washer, run the dryer, clean the lint filter, fold the laundry, sort the laundry, put the laundry away. We help the custodial staff quite a bit. Thanks to Mark, we've asked if we could do anything at all, anytime. So we help clean the cafeteria tables after lunch. You would think that would be an easy task, but we've done it since day one, and some are still practicing that skill to do it correctly. We also help with recycling cardboard every day, breaking it down correctly, getting it in the recycling bin. We do have a little bit of fun sometimes. This is us carving out a pumpkin for Halloween to do an experiment, a volcano experiment. I also knew I wanted to create some type of budget practice This is a game I created. Doesn't look that fascinating, but it gets the job done. So right now they're just learning about adding and subtracting. But my game is made up of, we just roll the dice once a day and it will tell us, do we have to pay the garbage bill or do we get paid today? And then they have to decide if it's a plus or a minus and add it to our total and keep an ongoing balance throughout. And this student made a mistake, but he fixed it today. His addition's off by a couple hundred. Been working on that. So this is taking you back old school. We write letters to pen pals. I mean, really, who's ever heard of that before? But we do. I have a previous student teacher who works in Canada McMillan Middle School. He is a life skills autism teacher as well. And we hooked up and we said, hey, let's write to each other. And so we've been writing back and forth a couple times, practices our writing skills, asking questions, how to address an envelope, which nobody knew how to do. And the kids love getting to know this new person, not even from the rural area. They're in the city, which is crazy. They live in the work. Another job we helped the custodial staff was raking the courtyards. It was a beautiful day that day, and I just said, hey, Bart, do you mind if we would do this for you? And he said, sure. So again, seems like a very easy task, raking leaves. But for these students, it's staying on task, completing the task efficiently and effectively, and just getting it done. And doing it following or being respectful to others around them, not giving up, and working together as a group. Logger comes to us once a week, early Wednesday mornings. This is him the first day he met with us. He comes into my little quiet area and sat with the students, but then this is Logger making himself at home at my futon, and that 5 minutes that those students spend with Logger, they literally just talk to him and pet him, and they just have a sense of calm when he's there. So thank you for that opportunity for letting Logger come into my room. Tonight you will be approving that I go to IGA for a field trip. Thank you. That was last week. We went to IGA for some community-based instruction. I decided I wanted to make a full Thanksgiving dinner. They created the menu. We then created a shopping list. We headed off to IGA. We bought everything off of our list. Before we went to IGA, I had got the ads. We had totaled it all up. And when we went to the checkout, 2 students were within $4 of the actual price. This is us at checkout, like literally watching the total to see how close we were. And this is us where 2 of them came within $4 of the actual cost of all the items, which was a lot. And then finally, we had our Thanksgiving dinner last week. They prepped and prepared a full feast, and then we sat down family style to eat the dinner together in the Family Consumer Science Room, which I do want to mention, Mrs. McKinley, back in the spring, I went to her. I knew that I would need to have a good working relationship with her, and I said, I really need to know if you're willing to allow us in your classroom, and she has been very gracious. I am in her room very often throughout the day. We share the room, her kitchen and her classroom, for all of the needs that I need her room for. She's been great to work with, and I go in every morning. I see what she needs from us, whether we need to do the dishes, we need to unload the dishwasher, we need to do the laundry. I ask her, can we use your kitchen, on Thursday? And she's like, so we make it work, and she's been great to work with. This is just some more of us cooking Thanksgiving. And there is There's us at our Thanksgiving dinner. And so this truly is a blessing, this little class that you've created here. We are definitely a little family. We all sat down and said what we were thankful for before dinner, and the aides were crying, I was crying, the teenagers were crying. Some of them have never experienced that, let alone go around and speak and say what you're thankful for. So
Got a turkey hat now?
that's a turkey. Of course. Good. That's it.
Thanks,
All
Megan.
right,
So I had a question. How many students do you have in your classroom?
Yes.
So I have 8 right now. One discussion we haven't had is I think I can go up to 12. So that's a discussion we might want to have in the future. We could open up to districts that maybe need a place for students to come into.
Are those all our school?
All 8 are AC Valley.
Oh, no.
I think we got the right teacher in the right.
I
You're doing a great
absolutely
job.
love it.
And I just want to know,
Thank you.
I don't think he's listening, but can my husband come to some of your classes?
Well, funny you should say that, because I talked to Mrs. McKinley, and she teaches a lot of the skills that I teach in her family consumer science. But absolutely, all of those skills that I teach could be taught to every single student. They shouldn't have to have an IEP
That's
or have a
true.
special needs. And she does a great job, but she doesn't have enough time with the kids. You know what I mean? She's very limited on what she can do, but you're right. Every single student needs those functional skills.
They do, and unfortunately, we've gone away from that because of the pressures the states put on schools for this curriculum and that curriculum and this curriculum. And sometimes the basic things they miss, and they need those.
Yeah, and
Those are life skills.
I didn't take pictures of me teaching in class and doing classwork, but like today we were I have shown them what a check looks like. We talk about the components of a check, and then today we were practice writing our first check and what the components are. Things like that. Those are some of the skills that I teach just in a classroom lesson.
Thank you. Thanks for your presentation. Any other questions? Thanks, Megan. Okay, we're going to move on to board concerns. Before we start, one thing I want to remind you, at your seat, there should be a letter that each of you can sign and give back to Tammy. This is going to be given to the Foxburg Water Authority, to the gentleman that is writing their grant. They're looking for a lot of information, a lot of letters, a lot of support from the community to help hopefully get them the grant to improve their water plan. So if you would make sure you sign that and give that to Tammy before the board, at the end of the board meeting today. Any other board concerns? Brady?
Yeah, so this water sample was given to me on November 7th. This was pulled from the district. This is the water quality we are dealing with currently. And so I'm glad to see there's some change happening, potential change happening here, but this is just absolutely ridiculous. 43 days the district has been affected by this water issue since 2018, whether the school was canceled altogether, or the district had to spend thousands of dollars in providing water for students and staff, disposables, trays and silverware for the cafeteria, changing out water filters, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm glad that we're looking into opportunities and different paths to improve the water system. I know personally I've reached out to Donna Overlander, Scott Hutchinson, and DEP about different funding options. And they sent me some information, which I've shared with David. And so I'm glad to see stuff happening. But like I said, that was pulled from the tap within the district. So the district should not have to be using that water, nor should we have to be paying for that water or thousands of dollars to correct the issue that we're already paying.
And among the water situation, my husband has been on the Richland Township St. Pete Water Authority, what's it called? Anyway, the Water Authority out of St. Petersburg, and so we've had many discussions regarding the water situation down here also, because St. Pete has been fortunate to receive a grant to put in a whole new entire water plant. And they have the capacity to serve the school, so we've been trying to figure out ways to look into that, to get the line down here, et cetera. But in among all of that, I was talking to the person who is the main operator for the St. Pete water plant, and he is the director of the Clarion County Public Safety, Denny Loeb. I'm sure David knows Denny. And there were things that he was telling me, that department or program or whatever, I know nothing about it, can do for the school when situations like this occur, such as bringing in water buffaloes, providing other water, et cetera, et cetera. I would like to have him come down and present that information to the board, because I think that's something we really need to know, what they can do to help us in situations, just like from the sewer line, and some sewer line issues, I don't know what all they do. So that's why I would, I know we can't do it for the December meeting, but maybe the January meeting, we could have them come down and present. If there's services available to us at no cost, we really should be looking into that.
They did bring water buffaloes and cases of water to folks in town, distilled water, they did for free.
Yeah, so, since instead of the school spending all that money that we don't have the budget for, if they have the funds and are able to do it, I would really like to hear what they can provide and do provide for the county. So I don't know, David, do you feel comfortable reaching out and
Oh,
see
yeah,
if you can? Okay,
absolutely. Yeah, I met with him last week, so
Okay.
I'll see when he can come down. That's a great idea.
okay, great, thank you.
And David and I were at a meeting with the Foxborough Water Authority last week, and, is that last week or this week? I lost track, last week. And they are aware there's an issue, and they're working hard to try and improve it. They're doing their best. We're trying to give them some ideas. There was a lot of people there trying to give ideas and going to contact, as Brady did, the commissioners and Donna Oberlander and Glenn Thompson. So it's in the works. They're working on it. So we'll keep you updated as we hear anything on it. David, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just reached out to talk to all three county commissioners. They're in Harrisburg this week, and they're going to bring back information. They do have some grant writers that works for the county that can help out. And I think that was part of the issue, is Foxburg has not been able to secure the grant. And many of you write grants and understand there's a real skill set associated with this grant. So I feel pretty comfortable about that. And we've had a lot of discussion, like Kelly said, with the Foxburg Sewage and Water Authority Board as well, and they're very open and receptive, and we're ready to start talking to St. Pete and possibly Impleton and explore all the options that we have. So thank you for being patient with us.
Anything else before we move on? So we have an open seat, and there were two candidates for the seat. The one candidate has taken their name off the list. So at this time, we only have one candidate, Patty Anderson. And are there any questions you would like to ask Patty? You have a packet at your seat that she's explained. Patty was on the board, I think, a year, weren't you, Patty? Wasn't a full year? It's been a while ago. For us, you filled in one other time when one of our members left their term early. Does anybody have any questions for Patty? If not, we'll do a roll call vote. Patty's our own candidate. We'll do a roll call vote. And then Patty, if you would like to just listen in tonight, you can. If you don't want to actually do a voting, since you haven't been in on all the discussions, that's totally up to you, but I'll let you decide. Any questions for Patty? Okay, so Tammy, could you call a roll call vote for this, please?
Are you going to do a motion?
Yes, I will we need a motion to consider to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve Patty Anderson for the Richland Township Monaco County vacant seat.
A second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. So we'll also do a roll call vote, Tammy. I guess I didn't need to do the aye.
Carrie Norwood?
Yes.
Megan Drayer?
Yes.
Brady Fight?
Yes.
Diane Page?
Yes.
Jeff Powell?
Yes.
Janine Stump?
Yes.
Eric Sundling?
Yes.
Kelly Trevolinger?
Yes. Okay, Patty, congratulations, I think. So you're welcome aboard. You're welcome to come over here. You can see our empty seat. And you can decide if you want to just listen tonight, or if you want to add any input, you're more than welcome to as we continue on with the agenda. Patty, your term will be for a year, because Corey's term had one more year.
You'll have to get on the ballot in February.
Yeah,
Yes,
All right, we're gonna move on then to the consent agenda. I do think though that I'm going to pull letter B. We'll vote on that separately only because Jeff will probably need to abstain and I don't want to make him abstain from everything on the agenda. So we'll vote on the consent agenda if everyone is in agreement for letters A, C, D, E, F, and G. Someone would like to make a motion for that? Okay, Eric's made a motion.
Just keep in mind, there was a couple adjustments since the workshop. We did add Sarah Black and the elementary school gym to that. We did add a additional day to the Nature Fest proposal. That would be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We added the Sunday for outside activities such as the car show. And then also, Andrea and I attended a PASBO PASA workshop today on basic education funding. So those were just a couple of changes since last Monday.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion by board members? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. We'll do item B separately. So do I have someone make a motion for item B? Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
Opposed? And we have an abstention. Okay, thank you. That does our consent agenda. We're going to move into finance and purchase. As there is a note on your agenda, there's no financial board reports for November because the auditors are working through all that, and we'll have the wonder to have all that information given to us in January. And there is no cafeteria report, correct, Tammy? No. Okay. So, Meg, do you want to do finance and purchase?
Sure. I'm going to A through G together, make a motion to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
H, consideration to approve the donation from the Servicemen's Club of Knox in the amount of $2,000 to be distributed equally, $200 each, with the following: baseball, basketball, boys and girls, cheerleading, cross country, football, golf, softball, track, and volleyball as attached. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. We want to thank the Servicemen's Club of Knox for doing that for the district.
I, consideration to approve the tax collector resolution regarding Act 57 of 2022 as attached. So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
J, consideration to approve the surplus equipment list of items to be deleted, sold, or otherwise decommissioned as attached. So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Mark has given us a list of those items, so. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, so we're going to move on to personnel. If you take a look at those, some of those can be grouped together if you would like. So I'm going to ask Carrie to do personnel.
Sure. Item A, consideration to retroactively approve the letter of resignation as junior high volleyball coach, Carla Hunter, dated October 9th, 2022, as attached. So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Item B, consideration to approve advertising for the vacated junior high volleyball coach position. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Unless someone wants something to be removed, I will make a motion to include C, D, E, F, G, which are all volunteers, I believe, for various sports organizations or PTO. I'd like to make a motion to approve all of those.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? We always appreciate when we have volunteers to support the students in all of our programs. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries.
H, consideration to retroactively approve the request from employee number 52 to use the days as unpaid leave October 26th, 28th, November 16th, 17th, and 18th. So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to retroactively approve the request from employee number 434 to use October 28th, November 1st, and 7th as unpaid leave, and also to approve December 7th as unpaid leave as attached. So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
J, consideration to approve the request from employee 131 to use December 16th and 19th as unpaid leave as attached. So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the request from employee number 32 to utilize sick days concurrent with FMLA leave as needed. So moved. Second.
Okay, moved and second. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
L, consideration to retroactively approve the request from employee number 58 to take a health sabbatical leave effective November 2nd and ending 90 school days later, one semester date to be determined as attached. So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Letter M, consideration to approve the advertising for a long-term special education substitute teacher for the duration of the sabbatical leave listed above, approximately 90 school days for one semester. So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Letter N, consideration to approve hiring Caleb Penny as elementary boys basketball coach at a supplemental salary of $543.50. All required paperwork is currently on file with the district office. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Letter O, consideration to approve hiring Mike Lowe as girls' junior varsity basketball coach pending receipt of all appropriate documentation at a supplemental salary of $3,105. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
P, consideration to approve the district superintendent's contract for employment for a 4-year term beginning July 1st, 2023, and ending no later than June 30th, 2027, as attached. So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, thanks, Carrie. We will move on to instructional service. Eric, I'll skip across to you. Would you like to do that for us?
Instructional services, A, elementary report.
Thanks, Eric. I want to start by talking about the workshop that I attended at IU6 on October 31st and November 1st. It was the Next Generation Science Standards Workshop, and I took a team with me of Sean Miller, Sarah Black, Sarah McCord, and Jody Runyon. IU6 hosted this workshop 2 different times so that we could go and learn about the Next Generation Science Standards, which have been adopted by Pennsylvania. We learned while there that schools will be required to have them fully implemented by the 2024-25 school year. And the test for science will change in the 25-26 school year to reflect those standards. While there, they ran us through a mock lesson under the Next Generation Science Standards so we could experience the new expectations. And I would liken it very much to the change that we saw in math instruction. When that test changed, it went from more of a learning fact, reading about science, learning facts, being able to spit that out on a test, to a more hands-on approach, more of a productive struggle where they presented you with a problem and we had to work through it as a group and try to figure it out. It was a little bit difficult because a lot of people there were science teachers, so they knew what was supposed to happen. So like I got to be the guinea pig who had to figure things out because I didn't know what was gonna happen. So it's kind of fun to see it from the student's perspective of what that would look like. For K to 6, it will focus on science, ecology, technology, and engineering as the 4 main areas. So I really felt good about our implementation of our STEM special. I think that was a great start to hitting some of these areas with our kids. But I also became very aware that that path alone will not be enough. So we need to start soon looking at what we are already doing well and what we need to change. And I would like to see that happen, up through 8th grade so that, Bill and I can collaborate and get these teachers talking together about what we need to do at each step of the way to be ready for this change. On November 8th and 9th, I then held grade level meetings down here with my teachers. I spent 2 different days meeting with each grade level, their classroom teachers, their learning support teacher, and all the interventionists that work with that grade level. So I was able to share this next generation science standard information with them, get some input from them on their thoughts about it. I also shared PBIS Q1 behavioral data. Trevor Heil shared building-wide as well as grade level math data and the results of a teacher survey he conducted on our current math practices. Kelly Schimpf, our CODA, shared progress monitoring data on the new Handwriting Without Tears program by classroom for each grade level while we were in those meetings, so it was good to see how that program was working. And I do plan to hold these meetings quarterly. It was good to be together and talk about the data and talk about what we were doing well, what we needed to change. The one thing I did learn is we need to have more than an hour per grade to do so, because we ran over in every single meeting. So I was glad I did spread it out over 2 days. A common concern that popped up was curriculum alignment and the proper resources for aligning that curriculum, and I already kind of mentioned that to David, that would be probably a great focus for maybe next year's in-services as we start looking at the science standards and how we have to move towards those, to just look at our curriculum in general and see where we're doing it right and where we need to fix things. I just have some shout outs after that. On November 11th, Veterans Day, we welcomed former student, ACV student, Ethan McFadden. Our 5th grade teachers invited him in. He spoke to the 5th graders about his service in the Air Force, and his brother Jace is currently in the 5th grade. Mrs. Rice, on November 14th, arranged for a show for the K through 3 students from Pittsburgh Puppet Works. They brought their puppet program into the gym, and it was part video and part live puppets. The program provided an engaging way for the students to learn about being kind to one another rather than the use of bullying techniques. Mrs. Longo, Mrs. Sunling, and Mrs. Barlett on November 14th hosted a family engagement night for our federal programs. It was called Meet the AmeriCorps Members Game Night. Students who attended had the opportunity to introduce their parents to their AmeriCorps tutors and then play board games with them while their parents learned about all that the federal programs can do for us, including bringing those AmeriCorps kids to us. Today I was invited to the 1st grade feast by Mrs. Fox and Mrs. Pennington. The students helped prepare the feast that they all got to eat. Their AmeriCorps tutors were there to help them with that. And I was glad Mrs. Bashline was here tonight because I was going to give her a shout out too. She brought her life skills class down, and they were in charge of serving the kids and also took over cleanup. I heard her saying they had to go do some dishes. So that was a huge help to her former colleagues, Mrs. Fox and Mrs. Pennington. And it was great for me to see those kids down here working again. I got to talk to a few of them afterwards and see them all grown up. One of them I wouldn't have even recognized if she hadn't told me who he was. And it was great to see them interacting with the little ones too. So I was really excited that we were able to do that collaboration. I hope we can do some more of that. 1st grade also tomorrow will be inviting their families in at 1:45 for their annual Thanksgiving program. It's a very cute little program where they talk about the things they're thankful for. It's a very short performance, about 20 minutes, and you're welcome to join us with the families if you would like to see the 1st graders talking about their Thanksgivings. Wednesday, PTO will hold its fall fundraising incentive event. We're very thankful to our PTO for all that they do to raise money so that our students can have some programs and go on their field trips. So I do try to support them any way I can, and this Wednesday, my support will be in the form of taking 67 doses of gravy slimed over my head, I guess. Mr. Simpson will be taking a pie to the face from each of the top 6 salespersons, so I'm not sure how he got 6 and I got 67. But, so I'm going to be all gravied up by the time I go home on Wednesday.
Just don't let the dogs out.
My dogs will be very glad to see me when I get home. So that will be a fun afternoon on Wednesday. I'm always appreciative of our generous community, but maybe not so generous in the future. And finally, on November 30th, right when we come back from break, kindergarten will be welcoming Mr. and Mrs. Batson for their yearly Native American program. They come and talk to the kindergartners about their Native American customs and traditions, dressed in full garb. The presentation is very interactive. The kids get to try some of the stuff on, and they dance along with the Batsons while wearing some of the headdresses and jewelry. So it's always a fun and educational program for them. And that's all I have this evening.
Mrs. Sherman, I just want to add, if you think that you need some time for curriculum writing this summer, let us know. I don't know, we've looked at budget-wise, that might be a good idea to start with the science curriculum, and we need to bring people in if they're interested in the summer.
Okay.
So we'll want to build that into the budget, so.
Yeah, I think that would be a great time because we don't have as many other things to worry about as during the school year.
Secretary? Okay. I would like to start off by just saying, I can't believe how quickly this school year is progressing. In a little over a month, I will actually be in the starting stages of scheduling for the 22-23 school year. One of the things that I'm looking at with my reading teachers up in the high school, especially grades 7 and 8, is our current reading program. Our test scores have shown that we are very weak in the area of writing. The reading class itself is only a half-year course, and it's a rotation course that we use with 7th and 8th grade. I'm going to be proposing that we move that class to a full credit course, full year course, and change the curriculum. And I propose a new curriculum starting the next school year, and I will be offering that to you for your approval next month, hopefully, if I can get it finished. It will focus on a mix of writing as well as reading, focused more on the test, because that's really what we need to improve on that piece of it. And it's based on the iReady program that we currently are using in grades 7 and 8, with a good mix of that writing in with the reading. So hopefully I'll be able to get that finished and get that to you for the next morning. If you haven't heard, our high school SAD club went to Seven Springs, and they were named the SAD Chapter of the Year at their conference. So they were given this recognition for their ongoing support of student programs and teaching students to make good decisions. One of the things that they've done at the high school is they planted red tulips in front of the high school, hopefully to bloom right about the time that alcohol awareness will be happening in the spring. So come on up in about 4 months or 5 months and see what happens. They also plan, when the weather gets a little bit better, to put pavers in front of the area where they planted tulips to make it look a little more respectful. As far as athletics goes, the fall sports have ended and winter sports started on last Friday. So we wish all the students good luck in whatever endeavor they have there, and we'll be following them through the winter sports. I laid at your table a lot of information. I know it's only 3 pages, 4 pages, but this is really packed with a lot of information. So what I'm going to tell you is just a skimming of that information, but I think you'll find it quite interesting. We had our PBIS data meeting today, and these are the things that we discussed. And it's been an ongoing discussion really for the last 2 months, because we've seen some trends that I think that you'd be interested in hearing about. On the first page, this is an average referrals per day, per month, and it looks over all the school years from 2019-20 all the way through 22-23 currently. So, for instance, if you look at this year's, you won't see any data past the month of November. It only goes up to last Friday. There's also some, if you look really closely there are some misinformation, I'll call it, because of COVID. For instance, 2019-20, you look at April, May, and June, there are zeros there, and that's because we were remote during those months. In 2021, November and December, it has a 4 and a 0. We were also on distance learning during that time, so those numbers are kind of skewed. What's interesting though, and I know we're only looking so far in the school year, but it's a dramatic decrease in behaviors and write-ups. Move over to the second page. This is the average referrals per day, per month for this school year. And you can see it's not even 1.5 average referrals per day. The PBIS team combed over this information over and over and over, and we have an idea of why we have this dramatic drop in write-ups. We would love to take credit for it, but we do not think that it's just simply our PBIS program. If you turn on the third page, you'll see the referrals by problem behavior. And I use the last two as a reference point. And if you look at M defiance, that's what we categorize 3 missing assignments. So think of M defiance as 3 missing assignments. When they get 3 missing assignments, they get written up, and it's an after-school detention to be able to complete those assignments. And of course, the last one there is just simply tardies to school. For this year, you can see that for the M defiance, the missing assignments, we have 11. Last year, at this very time, we had 64. That's how much it's dropped. The 3 missing assignments. On the tardies this year, so far this year, we've had 21. Last year, we had 54 tardies. So again, quite a drop in those 2 particular pieces. The PBIS team feels that the reason for this is due to our inclusive classroom approach that we've used this year. Having co-teaching going on, having 2 teachers in the classroom supporting kids, looking at behaviors and pulling kids aside and working with them one-on-one, and making sure that they're focused on their schoolwork, we feel is the reason why we have these dramatic drops. A lot of the students that get written up for 3 missing assignments are not students that have IEPs. They're usually the kids that are right above IEP students that have difficult home lives, have maybe no support at home for doing that homework, and just have a lot going on, but they're not identified with IEPs. The co-teaching has been able to help those students dramatically. And the teachers have told me, that teachers that are going into those classrooms have told me those are the students that they work with most, not the kids with IEPs necessarily. So we wanted to thank this board for allowing us to push forward with inclusionary classrooms this year and having the co-teaching. I know a lot of people, they have various opinions on whether or not that's effective. But I can tell you one thing, we have no other explanation for these dramatic drops in behaviors, and especially the tardies and the 3 missing assignments. So thank you very much for that, and thank you for the continued support for PBIS. We appreciate everything that you do. And that concludes my report tonight. Question?
So, I applaud you for the co-teaching, because that research has been out for a while. And I do believe that does make a difference, and it is falling in line with what many pieces go along with that. But my question goes back to the reading and writing and the movement toward a year-long curriculum at, why would you not want to enhance the reading and writing in all classes that use reading and writing, which we all know, and try to put more of an emphasis on that instead of pushing toward reading and writing separately as an entire school, when in fact maybe some of the kids don't need reading and writing year-round.
That's a good question.
Other academic courses if they so desire.
And we have pushed a lot for classes. To give you an example, history class is a great place where a lot of writing can take place. And we've been kind of supporting teachers as they move toward doing more of that. However, the reading class itself focuses specifically on skills of being able to write to prompts, various prompts, and it includes the grammatical pieces too, which can't be covered in a history class or a science class. They can talk about content and have you write about content, but they're not English teachers. They can't really teach a lot of grammatical, take the time to teach a lot of grammatical things or sentence structure, or what a long essay really should look like, focused on a thesis statement with supporting evidence. The reading class could do that if we move it to a full year. Right now, it's so focused on the reading aspect that there's very little writing included. We just don't have the time.
So what's in the English curriculum that is?
The English curriculum is more of a literature type, literature appreciation, reading those things in longer types of text, things like that. Any other questions for me?
Move on to consideration to approve adding the junior high boys baseball and junior high girls softball program.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Do we have any discussion?
We have numbers for this?
Yes. Should have been at your seat. I want to find mine. I got my stacks all. Here it is. Yeah, you should have a pie chart there. Do you?
I see.
So on those numbers, David figured it out. If you look at the junior high baseball and the junior high softball. So out of those, in that first pie chart, those numbers would be 15 no's and 37 yeses. Now that would have been grades 6 and 7, correct, Bill? And 8?
6, 7, and 8.
Yes. So all these questions went to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Okay, the second question, you would have 18 yeses and 14 no's. If there is a co-op, would they be interested? And then the grades, the responses, there was 46 graders, 13 7th graders, and 22 8th graders. If you actually look at the survey and you click on the pie chart, it gives you those numbers. David did that for us, so thank you for that. Does that help you out, Jeff?
Yep, thank you.
Where is the funding for these junior athletes coming from? Is it coming from the boosters, is it coming from the district?
It's not budgeted, so we would have to figure that out.
Yeah, it would be coming from the district. I'm sure the district would help out well. And we were unable to collect the data here, but Union had figured out how much it would cost with coaching salary, transportation, uniforms and such. And right around $8,500 per sport. That would be softball and baseball.
So another option is, and if funding is a concern, is to look at it for next year when we can build it into the budget. So that's an option.
I think Corn City at one point, when they first started, told the teams if they could make it go and collect money and so forth the first 2 years, then the district would pay for it after that.
I believe that's correct. I forget what the sports were, but they did do that.
I'm pretty sure Dewey told us when he came to the board that funding was an option. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. Funding was a problem that they would help out with that, correct?
Put me on the spot here.
Were you here?
I don't remember that
I'm
conversation.
pretty sure Dewey mentioned that they would assist with that, like, some of that.
It's $72,000.
I think that would be a question for Dewey, but I'm pretty sure he said that's something that they would.
Yeah, so the answer to the Quantum City teams, they did it this year, they passed both baseball and softball junior high teams, that's a club team, to be funded by parents. What I asked David and some others was, please don't not allow this program to happen
Because of Monday, okay.
we'll make it happen somehow. I think the 8,500 is high, but we'd rather put the work in and let the kids have the opportunity than to see it not happen because of funding.
Is that 8,500 is the majority of that, I'm assuming is uniforms and equipment?
It would also be coach's salary and transportation. So I don't have it necessarily broken down completely, but
So are we gonna have an issue short of bus with transportation when we're transporting through all other things? I mean, is that gonna be an issue, Lori? Have you looked at? It'll be an issue.
Well, okay, so.
It'll be the insurance issue, but.
And when it comes home, you say, no, I don't want to hear it.
You're extracurricular.
Yeah. Refresh my memory, did we say that Union did approve these?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, so if we can't approve these as a club then, we would have to approve them.
Well, we could, but it'll have to then go back to union.
Right. The way it stands now.
Right.
Is this 8,500 per school? Or you need us to come on?
And that's per school.
Okay.
Any other discussions?
So I think the discussion that we've had with the AD from Union is there would be one coach from Union and one coach from here, and then volunteers. Obviously, the varsity and JV guys are being volunteer to help, but I really can't see it being $500. We have uniforms, we have equipment. If we have to do a raffle to buy the kids, you know, they're gonna play a 6, 8, 10 game schedule. They're not gonna play 22 like professional kids. If we have to buy them uniform T-shirts or something, you know, we can make that stuff happen. But I just ask, please don't not pass it because of that. I just don't see it being even $500. But
So we would need a bus for practice and a bus to go to games. Because we would play other teams, right?
I know Dave Sherman did say it would be a nightmare, transportation. And I'm sure he thinks.
Well, spring sports transportation is already a nightmare.
Yeah, right.
And just back to the numbers, I think they included the transportation estimated costs, and that's why it's 85.
So that's transportation. Okay.
Okay, any other discussion?
I'm not against the teams happening if that's what the kids and the coaches want. What concerns me is almost $20,000 in funding, we're already hundreds of thousands in the red at the moment. That's what concerns me. But if other donors, organizations are willing to step up and help cover that cost, you know, I'm more than happy. But really, that's my concern, being hundreds of thousands to go red.
But in order to do that, we would have to make it a club. And then it would have to go back to union to get it.
No, we wouldn't have to make it a club if,
Did they donate to it if it isn't a club?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
okay.
because they already do that for other sports, so.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, we can accept donations when it's not a club, when it's a school-sponsored sport. Okay, any other discussion?
I'm trying to figure the math out here. So it says 75 responses, you have 75 males and females. Or are they grouped?
Junior high baseball, it would be boys,
No, I understand that,
okay?
but you say 75, is the demographics of the school split 50/50? 75 females, 75 males?
I don't, we have to look at the,
Junior high softball had 75 responses and those would be females. Junior high baseball had 75 responses and those would be the males. So I see what you're saying, it's exactly the
Because
same
it
number.
says 75 responses for who's enrolled.
Right.
I can
Something
explain that.
doesn't work there for me.
When we talked to the kids about filling this out, the girls actually answered question number 1. They're the NA, where it says NA, those are females.
Okay.
Down on the second question, the NAs are boys.
So it's the
So it
same
was
students
75
for
total. It
both.
wasn't 75 girls, 75 boys.
Right.
It was 75 total.
Correct.
So we really just need to look at the yeses numbers.
Right.
That was the easiest way to do it, so that we didn't have 2 separate people bouncing back.
37 boys, yeah, 37 boys and 18 girls.
Okay. Thank you.
This would help player development that I talked about earlier, is now you'd be able to run a true, maybe possibly a 9th grade team. Because you would be able to have kids from both schools, so your top tier 8th graders may be able to play up on a 9th grade team with some of the other 9th graders. So you're starting to talk about that player development stuff that we were talking about as far as getting them more innings, 9 through 12 or 8, 7 through 12 or whatever the case may be. So, I mean, that's why I'm here in support of Mike, is that this is talking about, we're worried about co-oping and not getting enough playing time for everybody, but this is gonna help kids get on the field and help them develop the whole way up through and hopefully maintain those numbers from the time the kids are 12, that we see a drop off in right now in all of our sports at AC Valley and Union from the time kids are 12 until they graduate high school. So this is gonna be something that helps along those lines. Because I don't know if they'll fight for the junior high, but I mean, this is gonna help our player development, that we should be able to play in 9th grade schedule and the junior.
So when they asked the question, would they play if it wasn't co-op? Did we ask that question? I'm just trying to think, if we had that many kids interested, why don't we do our own? We don't know what people's are. But we have 37 for the baseball. That would
So
do it.
to me, it doesn't make sense. If our varsity program is already co-op, why do we not want our junior high program to be co-op, to work together the whole way up through, instead of having separate teams at a junior high level when the varsity is already combined?
And I can tell you what the normal trend is. Out of that group, if you look at the bottom chart, 40 of those are 6th graders. And 6th graders tend to think of the high school and they want to do everything. So yes, they will say yes, they are interested in doing that, but the reality of it is when you start working on a team, there are a lot of kids that just don't want to put the time.
So in reality, there was 13 7th graders who would be, because you're going to lose those 8th graders next year.
Yes, that's correct.
So yeah, the 13 would be the two in it for 2 years.
Kelly, not necessarily, because the junior high would be 7, 8, 9.
Okay.
So if some of the numbers seem high right now, the 6th graders would not be participating this spring. I
Right.
assume we're trying to pass, so they're next year. And so when you get to a junior high program being 7, 8, 9, JV varsity being 9 through 12, when you get to that freshman year, your studs are gonna move up, and your kids that need development or choose to stay down will still be eligible to play.
How many, Mike, would that be? Do you have a ballpark number of 9th graders right now?
I don't know, or not. I think, if I had to guess, either 10, I don't know.
Okay.
I was gonna say, because that's Brian's group, and there's a pretty large chunk of.
I know we have 28 on the roster, JV.
Okay.
Thing we run into this year is, and we had a meeting last week with our parents about the Florida trip. So you have to be careful, and we've already discussed it, that if they start participating at a JV or varsity level, they can't get back down to the junior high team this year. So we as coaches are aware of that, but we gotta be careful with this thing, that we could get in trouble for that.
Right.
So we've already told the kids that are committed to go to Florida with us, that they're going to Florida with us. But if one of them chooses that they want to play junior high baseball, they've got to let us know. Because we can't play them in a JV or varsity if they want to stay down and play junior high. And that's fine.
And that would be a 9th grader.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's fine if they choose to do that. But one, they get more playing time. So we're aware of that situation. we'll have to work through.
So the junior high teams would not ever be involved in your trips?
No.
Okay.
That would stay a varsity team.
Okay,
There's no junior high competition.
okay.
I just, if I could add something. I've been a rec baseball coach for softball specifically for the last 3 years, just for the AC Valley area. This last year, we had enough for 2 full teams, probably 3 teams just for that junior high specific age group. It was, I believe, 12 to 16. So I know there's a tremendous amount of interest in our area in that. We had, I think both of our teams went to the playoffs this year. We were beat out by teams that had a program that started at a junior high level, and the varsity coach was very in depth into that team, where like the varsity coach was actually the head coach of Bethel. So there was a lot of buy-in for that. So having 2 daughters, I can't speak on baseball, but I know softball side. We've definitely seen the interest in the area. Like I said, the amount of kids at that age group that are super interested in it. There is a huge drop off at that 13. I'm not sure what it is, but I know all the kids this year were excited to come back next year to play for the team and kind of be in that group again. So.
Any other questions? So we have Mike on record saying that he's gonna have funding
Personal, I think you said
to
personal.
support this program.
Yeah.
He probably has
But
it.
is it really softball?
You need to check
Do you
it.
baseball, or is he only willing to do baseball?
Well, that's a good question. You're talking about baseball. What are we gonna do about the $8,500 for softball? I mean, is that something that we have community groups that are willing to support?
I think it would be nice to put it out there in front of the softball boosters. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody here, but it sounds like we got a great candidate right there to jump in and help. You know, there's softball, there's softball boosters here. But I mean, I think that we build it to come, right? We need to start investing back in it. We have no maintenance, no field maintenance for baseball or softball hardly at all right now in the school. So talk about budgeting and stuff like that, I mean, we're already on the cheap playing those 2 sports anyway.
I mean, I see that point, I think funding, something that we look into, is there's a lot of industry that's moved in the area in the last 5, 10 years. There's a lot of people that want to advertise and get their name out for publicity for the area. I work for a multi-billion-dollar company that just built a baseball stadium. So I'm pretty sure I go to the company and ask for.
Hey, don't forget, we're looking at football. Put a word in for us.
I can't ask, I don't have that information, you know, like.
Oh, we'd be glad to figure out.
There's tons of local businesses that are just behind the surface. Like maybe we don't have the deal automotive group or whatever, but there is a lot of money that's circulating in this area that is just below the surface. It just needs scrapped. And it just needs sometimes a push in the right direction to make it opposed to it. So, you know, there is a lot of opportunity for funding and for these programs that I think we can invest into the future, you know. Where in 5 years, we're not having a conversation about how can we afford the junior high program. We already have a program, we're looking at elementary school programs and that kind of thing.
The biggest benefit about co-oping both of these sports, and another thing to go back on the co-op, not being dead horse. And now you have two booster organizations coming together. So now, like, I know with football, I mean, we get a lot of very, very, very nice stuff, from like equipment, apparel, and all that stuff, because we have double the boosters working for us and double the outreach as far as companies you want to talk to. So now we're in Reimersburg and the Union area over there, and we're able to benefit off of some of the companies that are over there. So,
We have enough fields for these kids to practice on.
yes.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, so we're gonna go to a vote as far as approving the 2 programs. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Aye. Abstentions? Okay. So, who opposed? Me. Brady abstention. Okay, so motion carries. Okay, we're back to you, Harry.
Okay. Consideration to approve the junior high boys baseball cooperative agreement between the County of Clary and Valley School District and Union School District in the 2022-23 school year, continuing through the 23-24 school year at a time. So
All right, so we're moving to second, so.
Why
Question
don't we
next.
just do a year? Is it to match the other one? So, isn't everything else on the year? Is that right?
I'd have to look, I don't
No,
remember.
I think most of them are 2 years.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Is that what, is that not unions? So they approve?
yeah.
Yes, yeah, we have the exact same.
Okay.
Yeah.
agreement in front.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, not seeing any. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Aye. Abstentions? Okay, motion carried.
consideration to approve the junior high school softball cooperative agreement between the County of Clary and Valley School District and the Union School District beginning the 2022 school year and continuing through the 2023-24 school year as attached. So
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Okay, not seeing any. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Aye. Abstentions? Motion carries.
consideration to approve the coordination advance agreement between the Union School District and the Allegheny Clary and Valley School District effective 2023-2026 seasons as attached. So
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion.
So I see in this chart here that 100% of the 27 students surveyed were for it. But I think as the conversations we've had, there's definitely a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of logistics that need figured out to make it work successfully without a lot of hiccups. So that's definitely a concern of mine. Question to ask, I guess, I really don't know if we have any answers about what we're going to do with it. Behind the scene items.
I'm sorry, Brady, I couldn't hear the last thing.
I guess, we figured out what we're gonna do with all those logistical items and behind the scene items to make everything work.
I agree with you. There are a lot of things that have come up that are questions we don't know the answers to. And the question was brought up, I'm not sure all the students understood this. There was a cooperative agreement because it didn't say with union. So I don't know if that was an issue or if it was clear to them. Bill, you would know more about it. Did they understand that this was talking about cooperating with cooperative agreement with union or?
Well, I probably should have put that in there.
Well, I know, but hindsight's 20/20, so.
Yeah, I mean, we did put it on the announcements, and there has been a lot of talk up there about the whole cooperative thing with union. Everybody understands, we're doing it with a lot of sports, that the band is a discussion. So, yeah, there may be a few in there that didn't realize that it was with union, but I still think that the numbers would be overwhelmingly supportive of the co-op.
Okay, so if you want, of course, the first one's self-explanatory, there's 27, 100%. If you want some numbers for the second, David figured out that there were 17 yeses and 10 nos. And then the grades, there are 13 sixth graders that responded, 6 seventh graders, 3 eighth graders, 1 ninth grader, 4 10th graders, and 0 11th graders.
And Kelly, I can explain, I can look at the individual responses. So there are 3 sixth graders that answered the second question as a yes, which they aren't currently involved, but they answered it as yes, just so everybody knows.
So that would actually be 14 then instead of 10.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. So looking at those numbers, is there any discussion?
It wasn't figured out yet about us having a representative in charge here. I thought
Correct.
the union wants to do it all by themselves.
No, union wants to supply the band director, but they want us to send a support person along
Okay.
who would help. Carrie, is that what you were gonna add?
No, I was just going to say, has Scott given that official notification that if this happens, he's not going to? I mean, right
No.
now, he is the director of the marching band, so.
Right, but if we do join, he will not be the
I'm just
director.
making sure
because-
that he put that on record.
No, but what I'm saying is we won't need a marching band director if we join with union because union is providing. it. So regardless of whether he wants it or not, we won't have a position for a marching band. That supplemental will go away. Now, that could be a union issue coming down the pipe too, so. I mean, as far as the not union school district, but the union of the members here. Teachers union, I guess I should say. Any other discussions? Okay, so we need to make a vote on that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. I did,
I did.
I did.
Diane did, Brady did,
What, opposed?
yes,
Yes, I'm
Jameen did. So that ties us at 4-4, right?
Did Patty vote?
I don't know, Patty, you're not voting at this point.
Because I don't understand.
That's fine, and we're not putting you on the spot, so that's fine, we understand that, okay. Okay, so at this point with the tie,
Why are sports expected to combine for bands exempt?
Good question.
If you expect.
It's two separate
in all
entities.
Sports, then band shouldn't have an option either. It's not right. You're saying you have to figure out the logistics. Football has to figure out the logistics to get all their equipment. Volleyball's gonna have to do it, basketball's gonna have to do it. So if you're gonna make all the sports do it, then all the sports do it, and band is considered an extracurricular activity, which is separate.
but then it's talking to cheerleaders.
They are doing it right.
For years.
It's not a formal agreement.
No.
It is a competitive spirit.
That is double standard in my opinion. All of you just passed for baseball and softball to do it, and then you sat here and said no for bands. That's not right.
Basketball isn't co-op yet either, I mean, or volleyball.
It's not, but if you look at the numbers, our band numbers are very low.
They are.
They would benefit from combining.
They
But you're
would.
saying like softball, we had 22 girls on our team last year, needed another 15 to 20 girls
From union.
So now we have 35 girls, and that's not counting junior high. But you're not holding band to the same standard. Shame, 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 shame.
I don't know that you would want to say it's the same standard, but there are some issues that have been brought to the table as far as how the band is going to function, they have different activities than some of the sports teams do. And so I think that needs to be ironed out, in my opinion. I mean, other people didn't think so.
What are the different activities?
I need to bring up the email. I'm trying to remember everything they talked about. But, they have a lot of
Parades and,
competitions, parades, activities they do that are different.
How many parades do they do?
I don't know how many Scott has on his schedule. Do you have
I don't have that
And
list.
how many did they attend? Like, I would want to know how many they went to, what they actually participated in. I know they go to Kennywood, but there's a lot of opportunities that they could go. I just want to hear that these are all things that they would not have the opportunity to do as a co-op.
And I'm not saying they won't have an opportunity. I think the idea is just figuring out how it's going to work as a co-op.
They could still go to the competition because for cheerleaders had a co-op. And our own competition cheerleaders, it did not interfere with it, and we still went to competitions, we still went to states, we still went to all of that. They made it work.
It provides more opportunities for the kids, because this year, the AC band was supposed to go to a band festival in Oil City, they canceled it, didn't go.
Right, we
They were
know,
supposed to go to the autumn leaf parade. They
We know.
canceled and didn't go.
we know.
You know who went? Union. Do it for the kids.
Well, at this point, we've already voted for, so I think what we're gonna have to do is put it on the table and bring it back next month. Because right now we're tied, because we only have 8 board members. So next week we'll have, or next month, like, which is only, not even 2 weeks away, we'll bring it back at the December meeting. So it'll be back on the agenda in December. Because at this point, we have time. And hopefully, we might have some answers to some of those questions, Brady, that were presented to us by several members or several community members.
Has anybody reached out to Lisa Hummel? I mean, with, the parades and everything, I feel like we're gonna get left out. Has anybody spoken to her about, potentially looking into doing that, if that's something that's, so important to Arlington?
What parades are they doing other than the ones they just canceled?
I don't know. That's what was brought to us by.
That's disturbing to me to hear that they were canceled and we're not going to. ACV.
Well, they cancel. Yeah, they don't play on football field because there's not enough kids that show up, because our numbers are so low. I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer that we need to go up. It's hurting the kids and it's hurting our program. So that's why my question is, have we spoken to Lisa Hummel? That's one of the big, and Lisa Hummel's, she's the band director at Union. And she's very involved with those kids, and her and Scott have butted heads over the years, so there's been some disagreements there. But with that being one of the big, holdups, have we asked her if she's willing to go to more parades or take the kids to Kennywood or something like that? Like, maybe she's just, I don't know, hasn't been involved in that before, but I don't see that she would be opposed to that, if that's something that our students.
What were the list of grievances that we can't, that are different between the two bands that can't be worked out?
Lisa was part of the discussion and created that co-op with Dr. Kimmel, and we didn't talk specifically about the various events, but we named everything that Scott had down in his band calendar, except for the trip down to Kennywood that he intended to be here as well. But I could talk to Mrs. Hummel to see what their entire schedule looks like and present that in December as well, so we have a better idea as far as what our students. But Lisa said she'll make it work. We'll send the kids over. She's ready to go.
You should have gotten an email, and if you didn't,
I
I'll forward
probably
it.
did.
I will forward it to you that had a bunch of questions from a community member concerning the band, so.
So the other question I have is on the supplemental pay, and if there's no job, there's no job, there's no supplemental pay, so why would you be involved?
It's contractual.
The marching band director is part of the contract, it's one of the supplemental. We'd have to create another position, maybe below that or whatnot, like an assistant coach or something
You mean
like that.
the person that would ride the bus will be.
Yeah. And I've already started that discussion with the UNICEF reps as well, just to, in anticipation of it.
I mean, there may not be, but it could be something that could be brought up by the union that we're trying to do away with the supplemental contract.
Now, would our band kids only go to Union for practice and so forth?
Lisa said she'd be willing to do whatever works out, similar to football and baseball and everything else. We flip-flop back.
And I believe they'll keep their same uniforms.
Yes, yeah. And if we do 2 to 3 years down the road, everything's working good, then we'll work together on a combined uniform. But right now, yeah, there's no additional costs associated.
And for the other teams, do they go back and forth or are they all over here?
They practice both places. Okay.
So there's transportation costs with that.
There's transportation costs as well, yeah.
And busing.
And another busing issue.
Exactly.
Yeah, Lori's smiling.
That's in the fall. You can probably make that.
I think the word is out on how good the union band is, considering we have a child going there now. And I think you're gonna have more kids
I know
leaving.
my son personally
Is gonna be leaving.
band in a heartbeat.
They're gonna go on their own.
I can give you a list of kids and parents that told me the same thing. Your band numbers can easily double.
So,
Okay. Well, we will bring it back to the table and to vote again in December, so.
That's not, we could wait.
Yeah, it's not very long. So I guess what we need to, well, I guess we don't need a motion to table because we are tied, so we'll bring it back to vote again in a second. Okay, we have one more item. Eric?
Consideration for changing the color of senior graduation gowns, all blue. So
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Didn't we get an email about that? Were the kids asked what they thought of that?
There were, I think, David, you said a couple were
Yeah, I-
concerned about girls who didn't want to give up the white, but the reason it came up was because we need new gowns, and this is the time to make the decision. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Yes, we need to add a student report. If you would like to. Sorry, Eric, it's not on there. That's okay, Tammy. It's not your fault. No, we'll just ask them to give their, so Grace, do you want to go?
On Veterans Day, Gift Club, with the support of Do Something Good Club and SAD Club, they hosted the annual Veterans Day program. Veterans from the community were welcome to join us in breakfast, and then it was followed by some upcoming here will be on this Wednesday. The PBIS team is going to reward students who did not receive any discipline referrals during the first 9 weeks, and they are going to receive a movie day for their positive
Circling back there, for athletics here, we have our fall sports ending, so our football team ended, football season ended, volleyball ended, cross country, and we can't forget our wonderful soccer player. Her season also ended. And now we're going to winter sports season, so we're entering into our basketball season, and our competitive cheer. So the buzz around the school is excited. We're all excited to enter into our brand new sports for winter. Have a great time. And then again, upcoming events. After our movie day on Wednesday, we're competing in our annual turkey bowl throughout the different grades. Everybody's excited for that. It's a great time being in the high school.
Just going back to Kaden, with Ava and competing with Park City, they were going to, they're in state playoffs or?
They lost.
They lost.
State
Okay.
playoffs.
They lost the second round.
Oh.
Okay, thank you, everybody. All right, we'll move on to policy. Diane, do you want to do policy?
Consideration to approve.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped, yes, I'm sorry. I'm moving ahead of you now, Eric.
federal program report.
The only thing I have to report tonight is that we are still working on the PCCG grant, the mental and safety grant. We have to pull together a few more quotes, but we are working towards that and getting approved.
D, district report.
I'll keep it real short. As we are aware, we do have a new governor going to take office, Josh Shapiro, who is favoring public education, but he also supports school choice as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how he makes the transition in and who he elects as the Secretary of Education. We're working closely with PASA and PASBO to be on that team to help select the Director of Education as well. I've also attended a few workshops, one from PSBA on the new safety training requirements. So I met with Heather Matchar from PSBA, and we reviewed all the required training, which are in development at this particular time, and we'll implement them accordingly. In addition to that, I attended the PASBO workshop for multi-county school districts. There's 88 school districts in the state of Pennsylvania who are in 2 or more counties. ACV obviously is the only one in the state in 4 counties. And we talked about Act 672 as well as Act 1. And Act 672, which was approved years and years and years ago, forces school districts in more than one county to do a rebalancing effort on their taxes. So Act 1 has superseded that, but Act 672 is not going away. So theoretically, Act 1, we can only tax to a particular index. And last year was 4.1%. But with the rebalancing effort, it actually decreases in 2 of our counties and increases more than the index in 2 of the counties, generally speaking. So that's not fair for the taxpayers, but it's also not fair for the school districts as well. So all 88 school districts was part of this PASBO workshop, creating a resolution, put it in front of the school board for approval to make a change. And this will, again, support the school district, but also local tax residents as well. We're going to also push this into that new governor's cabinet whenever they get reelected, because it's time to take a look at that. In addition to that workshop, Andrea and I attended a PASBO workshop for basic education funding. And the basic education funding formula will be reviewed here shortly. And I talked to Donna Overlander. She may be on that committee to reevaluate that. And as we all know, there are winners and losers. And since 2016, all new money going into education has been put through this funding formula. And there's a multitude of different factors that impact the funding that comes out into the school districts. For example, back in 2019-20 school year, we'll put $100 million into basic education, and Philadelphia got $73.5 million, and AC Valley got $9,800. So we're definitely a loser. Our escalating cyber school costs, the inability to increase taxes to the index, as well as the fair funding formula, it really puts us in a very difficult situation. So we've been working with our partners in Harrisburg to hopefully make a change. So when they revisit the basic education funding formula, they're going to take into account school districts like AC Valley that doesn't get their fair share of the pie. And as well as this resolution, we're hoping to make a change. So we're partnering with our PASBO counterparts, and hopefully there will be changes in the future that can help continue to fund education. We won't have to worry about every penny that we spend. We can actually start looking at growing and enhancing programs outside of cutting. So we're working very, very diligently in the business office here at the district. We're also preparing for the new budget coming up. So there's a lot of movement right now. And again, we're just at the inception of it, but we're hoping to be pushing for some change.
David, that brought a question to my mind.
Sure.
You know, our budget was always hurt by having the Maze funding funneled through our budget.
Yep.
Are we past that now?
Yes,
This-
yes.
Okay,
Because that was that additional $1 million that went into our overall budget, and then it broke it down by ADM, so our average daily membership number of students. So yeah, this past year, I believe it was that we actually don't have that extra $1 million in the funding formula. But the difficult side that we're facing right now is we have 51 students out on homeschool. We have 36 students that are out in outside cyber school. So we've lost, just under 100 students over the course of the past 10 years or so. And that also has a negative impact on it.
especially the cyber.
Yeah, for sure, because it's a double whammy. We're expecting to pay over $750,000 in outside cyber school for those 36 kids, which takes away from our 625 kids that we have here on campus.
Did we have any success in getting some of those outside cyber students moved to the Titusville program then?
Not as much as we wanted. We do have 6 kids in the Titusville program, and we have 2 kids in our AC Valley cyber program right now. But last year we had 39 students in outside cyber. This year we had 6. So we've done, Mike McGahey's done a lot of phone calls and a lot of outreach as well as myself. And, a lot of those families have only 1 kids in them, and, they don't want to come back to school for one reason or another.
Nice.
And just, one more piece, we're paying over $20,000 for a gen ed kid that goes out, and over $43,000 for a special education student that goes out into an outside cyber program. And Eric, that concludes my report.
Do we have the school police report?
No, it's not.
Okay, now I can move on, right? Okay. Trying to force it along here. Okay, so now, Diane, would you like to do policy?
Sure. Consideration to approve the first reading of policy number 625, superintendent cards as attached. So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? So that is the plan to get a procurement card, basically a credit card that can be used for some purchasing in the district when needed. Okay, any questions? No? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, we have facilities. Let's move on to, Mark, do you have anything for us tonight?
Yeah, I have an update coming on the athletic field committee. You probably got the update today. That we rented a machine and ran it for several days on our high school football field and the practice field. It's like a cutter. It cut a groove into the ground about every foot or so, about 8 to 10 inches deep. We ran it out of the field all directions for 2 days. Top dressed with 2 tracks of loads of sand on the main field and 1 on the practice field. So the gentleman rented us off of, they rented a lot for athletic fields, baseball fields. It opens up the crack in the ground. The sand gets in there and it'll freeze thaw cycle. It'll help with drainage of the field. So we did that for 2 days, a lot of work on the field. Obviously, we didn't fix the grading. We didn't do a miracle on the field. We hopefully improved the grading and top dressing the field. So we'll find out how that worked. It looks pretty good right now, but obviously there's still some high spots and low spots. Without totally regrading the field, you're not going to eliminate that. We'll fix that. But this was something we could afford to do right now, and we did it. So. The bleachers you see today, after the 5 o'clock football game, we got the rest of them up today. An update on the kitchen. The high school kitchen was built in 65, something like that, 64, 65. Has a market board steamer. These are no longer manufactured, actually not a business. The elementary has one. We built this school in 96, I believe. So these machines are giving us a lot of trouble right now. They use them a lot in the kitchen. Stacy is trying to get a grant to replace these pieces of equipment. If they don't get a grant, the equipment's like $60,000 a piece. We have steamers. She cooks her vegetables in. We have a steam kettle. Runs off this same boiler that she cooks, does all her spaghetti and all her pasta, whatever she's boiling and that. So she uses them quite often. And there's no longer manufacturing pieces coming out of this. A list that I guess get approval to advertise so you can have a sealed bid on that. We've done before. We'll get everything lined up in the garage. We'll put a number on it. We'll put sheets up there, envelopes. People put their bid on an envelope, seal it, put it in the bucket, and whenever we decide to open them, we get a date on the bid. We'll open them up, and then whoever the high bidder is gets the lucky excess equipment.
So
And whatever we don't get rid of or don't sell, it's not, no one wants to buy, then we can dispose of, we're just going through the process.
You advertise that?
That's correct. We'll probably advertise the local property.
Okay.
And Megan was here, and I want to thank her for, she's done a tremendous amount of stuff helping us every day. We see Megan coming, she comes in the maintenance garage with the kids, and she may come looking for rakes, she may be looking for a cordless drill, or you don't know what she's after. She's done a wonderful job. We at first, it's like, what's this going to be? So it's turned out it's really an asset to our school. We care how our school, we can all drive our school and what they look like, and Megan's only improving that. And the elementary. Thank you, Megan. That's all. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. All right, Brady, would you like to do transportation?
Sure. I'm going to do, let's see, A and B together. Consideration to approve the extracurricular contract bans with Ken Myers Transportation, and to add Shannon Hilliard as a substitute driver. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion's carried.
Consideration to retroactively approve the request for Megan Wolf effective November 1st, 2022, to be removed as a driver for Ken Myers Transportation and added as a driver for Randy McLendon. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried.
Consideration to retroactively approve the 2022-2023 van contract between AC Valley School District and Randy McLendon Incorporated for the 17 Chevy Cruze, adding Megan Wolf as a driver dated July 1st, 2022 as attached. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, Janine, can I jump to you for the miscellaneous?
Sure, the Career Center report, I was just refreshing my memory from that. It was a pretty brief meeting last time. Tracy has been writing some grants and getting some equipment, which is absolutely wonderful. If you read through her, through the minutes, she outlines that pretty well. They've got the Kronos band. They won a Skill Ed International grant. They were the only career tech center school in the entire United States to win that grant. They're going to use it for a masonry saw, and they're trying to do another grant to purchase a vehicle for the automotive program, so they have some working vehicles there to work on. And remember when we were up there and she said about the competition for the kids to get the money, and then she had different things she had to do, so she kissed the pig.
Oh, she kissed the
She
pig.
kissed the pig.
That's what she wanted.
That's what she wanted to do, so she got to kiss the pig. As far as the IU report, do we have an IU report?
I was looking, I think that Mike sent out the minutes last month because of work obligation. I didn't make it, but I know the minutes are out there for everyone to look at. I think we have this month's meeting this Wednesday. We have a calendar.
Any correspondence?
I do have one thing that David asked me to share with you. The PSBA, and I'll pass this around, donated a book for the library as an appreciation for our district's commitment to Pennsylvania students and communities. So it's a cute book. I'll pass it around. You guys can take a look. But that was a donation from PSBA to AC Valley.
Is there a technology committee update?
We have not met, no.
An athletic committee update?
No, we met once and just talked about the co-ops.
Okay, I wasn't at this. The football field renovation committee update?
I just provided an update about the vertical that we had talked about. We didn't have a formal meeting.
Okay, and a finance committee update?
We're just working with Mike Beard with Nature Fest and planning for some summertime activities that should benefit the school district as well as the local community.
Janine, that Kronos band that they applied for that grant from Statement to Career Center, that is the fiberboard plant up in Shippeyville. They're based out of Germany.
Yeah, so they were trying to change the money into.
Yes, they're based out of Germany, but they're the new owners of that fiberboard plant. Sure.
Okay, any old business? New business, I want to remind you that next Thursday, a week from this Thursday, is our December workshop and board meeting combined. We won't have a separate workshop meeting because this will be our reorganizational meeting. So that will be December 1st, which is a week from Thursday. So we just have a very short turnaround before our December board meeting. Like I said, we'll start with the workshop, we'll have it in person here, and we'll move right into the voting meeting. And that will be our reorganizational meeting as well. So keep thinking about if you are interested in still being IU rep, Career Center rep, because we need those positions filled again. Okay? Will we have a dinner before that?
Possibly, more to come on that. Stacy's out right now.
Okay, all right. You'll let us know then if we need to be here at 5:30 or 6. Okay, David will let us know what time we need to be here. I'm sorry,
I have to call in. I forgot it. I thought it was the next one.
I thought it was gonna be the next week too. I was confused as well. I didn't look. Usually it's been around the 5th or the 6th, so it's catching us early.
I have to call in.
Okay. Thank you, Jameen. You know, when you're not here, you get voted in everything.
I'm all right with being in the career center, but that's it. Nothing else.
All right, anything else? New business. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion first and second, and all those in favor? Aye.
Have a great night, be careful on the road, lots of deer out there.
You